I started living with Jeff after getting engaged to him. But Jeff, without asking me, invited his mother to live with us and began treating me like a servant. One day, I was in a car accident and was taken to the hospital in an ambulance. The doctor informed me that I might have a permanent disability in my leg. To make things worse, the driver responsible for the accident fled the scene and disappeared. Instead of worrying about me in my despair, Jeff and his mother hurled cruel words at me.
I'm going to marry a proper woman. I'm calling off my engagement with you. I don't need defective baggage.
She's not good enough for Jeff. Get rid of that defective woman.
I was crushed by their heartless words. Too shocked to argue, I simply replied weakly as they laughed and left the room. Okay, it was unforgivable enough for them to abandon me and break off our engagement when I was in this state. But to know that Jeff already had someone else lined up was humiliating. He discarded me and planned to marry another woman. How far did they think they could push me? A boiling rage surged from the pit of my stomach, heating my entire body. You'll pay for this. I'm not letting you get away with it. My name is Annie. I'm a 45-year-old housewife. I've been engaged to Jeff, who's 2 years younger than me, for 1 year. We met through my best friend, Rachel. Jeff was funny and loved sports games and trying different restaurants. Since I've always been soft-spoken, I've tended to be attracted to people who are my opposite. When I told him I lost my parents in an accident when I was in middle school, he shared that he had also lost his father around the same age. That unexpected connection brought us closer. We started dating seriously, planning for marriage, and eventually moved in together at my place after Jeff proposed. However, after moving in together, I began to see Jeff's true colors. In college, Jeff was a soccer player, and he was tall and had a huge appetite. I enjoyed watching him devour large servings at restaurants because I was a small eater who liked good food, but in small portions. There was something satisfying about watching him eat hearty bowls of pasta or burgers with relish. However, Jeff had the same eating habits at home. Of course, I had agreed to live with him knowing he had a big appetite, so at first, I happily prepared large batches of meals. I work full-time and often get home later than Jeff due to overtime. But when I returned home exhausted, I would find the pot empty, the meal I saved for myself gone from the fridge, with only shredded cabbage left. Jeff, did you eat my portion too? When I confronted him, Jeff, watching a soccer game, puffed out his cheeks in annoyance.
Well, yeah, there wasn't enough for me.
I was stunned. 2 pork chops, onion soup, a mountain of potato salad, and garlic bread. And that wasn't enough. Swallowing my frustration, I ran to the nearest shop to grab something for dinner. This happened several times after that, but since I hated conflict, I didn't scold Jeff. I simply made another dinner. Looking back, maybe I was at fault for not standing my ground. Eventually, Jeff's eating spree worsened. Even though it was just the 2 of us, I would cook enough for 4 or 5 people, but it would all be gone by the time I got home. If that wasn't enough, he ate up cup noodles and frozen pie. Even when I stuck notes on the food saying, "Please don't eat," he'd ignore them. During meals together, Jeff's behavior was just as bad. He'd reach over and grab pieces of my meat or fish without asking. When I protested, he looked at me in confusion.
Annie, you eat so little. I'm helping you finish it so it doesn't go to waste.
I was about to eat that. At least ask me first.
Sorry.
He'd laugh it off, but the next day, he'd do it again. Jeff, having lived with his mother all his life, couldn't cook at all. Meanwhile, I had been living on my own since I graduated from college after leaving my uncle and aunt's home. So, I was responsible for planning the meals, doing the grocery shopping, and cooking everything. I could cook larger portions, but the shopping, cooking, and storage space in the fridge limited how much I could make at one time. Naturally, after 6 months of living together, Jeff's health check revealed that he was overweight with high blood sugar levels. When I told him to cut back on food, he puffed out his chest.
Big guys look more impressive, but women, you need to stay slim.
What's that supposed to mean? Jeff smirked at my shocked expression.
Annie, you don't want to look ridiculous if you put on more weight, right? I'm doing you a favor by eating it.
Excuse me, I'm within a normal weight range. Before I could finish my sentence, Jeff's arm reached forward again. Jeff scooped out the entire limited edition pudding from the popular shop and ate it before I could stop him. All that was left was a thin layer stuck to the bottom of the cup.
This pudding is awesome. Get some more for me, okay? Waiting in line is such a pain. Annie, I'm counting on you.
Without any sign of remorse, he flashed a huge grin and walked away from the dining table. As I tried to contain my frustration, my mother-in-law called me.
Annie, what time will you be home tomorrow?
Me? I think it'll be after 7 p.m. Wondering why she was asking, I vented to her about what had just happened. Her response was to scold me.
Jeff actually enjoys your awful cooking. How dare you complain?
But he's been eating all the side dishes recently, even going through the pantry for the preserved food. When I protested gently, she shot back furiously.
Jeff works hard, so you need to feed him well. Unlike you, he has a real job.
She yelled in a high-pitched voice and hung up the phone. I sighed and pressed the end call button. As the months of living together passed, Jeff's arrogance grew worse and worse. In the beginning, he would help out with chores other than cooking, but after 6 months, he stopped doing anything. Jeff, when I come home late, can you bring in the laundry? And please clean the bathroom like we agreed. Jeff, lying on the couch, scrolled through his phone without looking at me.
Man, I'm exhausted after work. I get hungry too. Can't you handle that much, Annie?
I'm tired too. We agreed on this from the start. Jeff frowned and cut me off.
Enough already. I work at a big company and make more money than you, right? Besides, you're a woman. You should be able to balance housework and work. Everyone else does.
Whenever Jeff got upset, he would give me the silent treatment for days. When I couldn't stand it anymore, I gave in and apologized to him and ended the fight. Just as I started feeling anxious about my life with Jeff, an even bigger problem appeared. His mother moved in without any warning. I'm home. Wait, what? I froze as I stepped into the living room. A huge stack of cardboard boxes was piled in the corner of the room. There, my mother-in-law, Mary, was sitting on the couch next to Jeff, casually laughing at the TV. She would occasionally drop by to visit Jeff, not me, but seeing her car in the driveway on a weekday was unusual.
Oh, Annie, you're back. Hurry up and make dinner. I'm starving.
So, you're here, Mary. Jeff, can I talk to you for a second? I motioned for Jeff to come to the hallway and whispered, "What's with the boxes?"
Isn't it obvious? It's Mom's moving stuff. She's living with us now, so get used to it.
This is too sudden. I raised my voice without meaning to. You should have at least talked to me first. Jeff scowled, clearly annoyed.
It's fine. We'd live together eventually after getting married, so she just moved in early.
Hearing our conversation, Mary chimed in.
Jeff's the oldest son, and it's only natural. Why would we need your permission?
Jeff crossed his arms and nodded, and I felt completely exhausted. There was no way I could win against them when they teamed up. Thus began my days of living in hell. Mary did no housework at all, not even making her own tea, and she constantly complained it was too cold or too weak. She was messy, leaving empty candy wrappers and beer cans everywhere, and also when she received packages, she left the open boxes lying around. She never took out the trash, so I had to clean everything up after her. Despite moving in uninvited, she didn't contribute to groceries or utilities and only complained.
Annie, are you really telling Jeff to do chores? He's tired from work. Let him relax at home.
I work full-time too. In most households, couples share the chores when both work. I finally pushed back, but she glared at me with a sharp look.
Who do you think you are? You earn less than Jeff, so don't act all high and mighty.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to have a say, out-earn me first.
With Mary on his side, Jeff became even more insufferable by the time we'd been living together for a year. I regretted not waiting longer before booking the wedding venue. Back when Jeff proposed, I was so excited that we immediately started touring venues and impulsively made a reservation. I couldn't imagine ever having a happy married life with Jeff and Mary the way they were now. When I introduced Jeff to my uncle and aunt, who raised me, they were as thrilled as if their own daughter was getting married.
If he's working at that company, then it's reassuring.
Jeff seemed so cheerful and pleasant.
Hearing such comments from them made it even harder for me to reveal the truth. But I didn't want to walk knowingly into misery. I decided to break off the engagement with Jeff and canceled the wedding venue. Just when I made that decision, I was in a car accident. Someone called my name, and when I opened my heavy eyelids, I realized I was lying in the back of an ambulance. A paramedic was peering into my face.
Can you tell me your name?
Yes, I'm Annie Jones. As I answered, I groaned. A sharp pain shot through my right cheek as I spoke. I couldn't feel my right leg. I could tell it was bent in a strange direction, but I couldn't move it at all.
We'll arrive at the hospital soon.
I was so dazed that I couldn't comprehend the situation. Last night, I was in bed. How did I end up in an ambulance? I had no memory of waking up, getting ready, or heading out to work on my moped that morning. At the emergency room, they took me for a CT scan. The results showed that I had hit the right side of my head, but thankfully, my helmet had saved me from any brain damage. The doctor said my memory confusion would likely improve over time. My broken right leg would heal in about 2 months, but the ligament damage was severe. After surgery, once the anesthesia wore off, the doctor came to explain everything in detail.
It will be difficult for your right leg to fully recover.
The doctor spoke with a pained expression.
You'll likely have difficulty walking on your own from now on.
The words made my vision go dark. I asked in a trembling voice, "Will I have a permanent disability?"
Yes, you'll probably need a wheelchair.
It felt as though the entire world had lost its color. I stared at my bandaged right leg, which was suspended in the air.
By the way, the police have been waiting outside. Are you up for speaking with them?
What is it about?
The driver responsible fled the scene, so I believe they're here to update you on the investigation.
The doctor glanced toward the doorway where the officers were waiting, then left the room. 2 police officers entered and gave me a brief explanation.
According to eyewitnesses, a small car with a beginner's license plate hit you from the right side.
After hitting you, the driver sped away. Witnesses said the driver was a young woman.
I see.
We'll report back as soon as we identify the suspect. Take care.
After the officers left, I held back my sobs. Why did this have to happen to me? Did I do something wrong? All I ever wanted was to work, get married, and live a happy life. I wanted to bury my face and cry, but with my legs suspended, even lying on my stomach was impossible. At least there was one blessing. I was in a private room since there were no vacancies in the shared wards. Suddenly, the door swung open without a knock. Come to think of it, before the surgery, a nurse asked, "Would you like us to contact your family?" I had messages sent to my uncle and aunt, my coworkers, and Jeff to explain the situation. My uncle and aunt, along with some of my coworkers, rushed to the hospital before the surgery and looked like they were about to burst into tears when they saw me. Even Jeff and Mary, who were usually indifferent, would surely show some sympathy when they saw me like this, or so I hoped. But that fragile hope was quickly shattered. Jeff pointed at my tear-streaked face and laughed out loud.
What a hideous face. You were ugly to begin with, but now you're all swollen like some kind of monster.
Jeff, stop that. Annie's been through a lot of pain.
Even though Mary tried to scold him, she couldn't hold back her laughter and snickered.
So, when are you getting out of here? You need to get back to cooking soon.
Yeah, that's the only thing you're good for after all.
Their insensitivity filled me with rage. "I'm injured. Can't you say something more appropriate? I'll probably need to stay for about 2 months. In the meantime, we'll need to cancel the wedding venue."
Then who's going to take care of us?
I continued speaking to Mary, who was voicing her complaints. "Also, it looks like my leg will have permanent damage. The doctor said I might need to live in a wheelchair." Jeff and Mary exchanged glances. Then Jeff suddenly spoke up as if he had just remembered something.
Oh, but you'll probably get a big insurance payout from the perpetrator, right? We could use that money to remodel the house and get some compensation too. You won't need to work anymore.
You'll get money even if you don't work. That's great news, Annie.
But about that. Hesitating, I told them. The driver fled the scene, and they responded with disappointment.
Then you're useless, aren't you?
Jeff, you should leave her. Staying with dead weight like this is a waste.
Yeah, you're right.
I was stunned as Jeff readily agreed with Mary's cruel remarks. Then he looked at her and said something outrageous.
Mom, I'm going to marry Mia instead. I only kept Annie around because she's a good cook, but I should have ditched her sooner.
See, I was right all along.
Mary smirked triumphantly. As I sat there in shock, she turned to me with a wicked smile.
Jeff will marry someone younger, prettier, and more obedient than you.
All we have to do is change the bride's name on the registry. The wedding next week will go off without a hitch.
Jeff grinned as he stared at me lying in the hospital bed.
I'm going to marry a proper wife. I'm canceling the engagement with you. I don't need a defective product.
Yeah, you're not a good match for Jeff. Get lost.
Their heartless words broke me. Too shocked to argue, I simply replied weakly as they laughed and left the room. Okay, the memories of what Jeff and Mary had said played over and over in my mind. So, while he was engaged to me, he was already seeing Mia with marriage in mind. The more I thought about it, the more boiling rage surged up from my core, heating my entire body. It's unforgivable enough that he's abandoning me in this condition, but to think he had someone else lined up all along. He's throwing me away like a rag and marrying another woman. How dare he? You'll pay for this, Jeff. I won't let you get away with it. Spending entire days confined to the hospital room with my legs suspended was more grueling than I could have imagined. The painkillers were strong enough to make the injury bearable, but being unable to move freely was incredibly stressful. I managed to distract myself by watching TV or watching cartoons or videos on my phone during the day. But nighttime was the worst. Since I couldn't move my body, it took me a long time to fall asleep, and when I did, I was tormented by nightmares. In the dreams, I was discovered by a ghost in the dark and tried to run, but my legs wouldn't move, so I dragged myself with my arms. The ghost always caught up to me, and I'd wake up just as it reached me. I'd bolt upright in bed, my heart pounding, and my body drenched in sweat. As I gasped for breath, I realized it had just been a dream, and the relief drained me of strength. It was hard to fall asleep again, and I often ended up scrolling through my phone until morning. After 2 consecutive nights of nightmares, I told a nurse about it, and she gave me a sleeping aid. She explained that many patients struggled with insomnia due to poor health and unfamiliar surroundings. Following her advice, I took the sleeping pill and finally slept soundly through the night. I felt a bit more at ease. Still, the thought that Jeff was living his newlywed life while I was stuck here made me nauseous. But I expected it was about time for Jeff to start crying. 3 days after the accident, I had just finished my dinner, which the hospital staff had taken away, and was absent-mindedly looking at my phone when a call came in. It was Jeff. I ignored it at first, but he kept calling repeatedly. Annoyed, I finally answered. Yes.
Hey, what the hell is going on?
Without even identifying himself, he immediately started yelling. I knew exactly why he was calling, but I played dumb and asked curtly, "What do you want?"
The real estate agent came and told me I had to leave the house by the end of the week. And why the hell did you sell my car without asking me?
It's my house and my car. I can do whatever I want with them, right? I replied coldly, and Jeff's voice grew pathetic.
I was getting the house ready to bring Mia in. How can you kick me out all of a sudden? That's insane.
That's not my problem. I shut him down firmly. That house was a gift from my uncle and aunt when I graduated from college and moved out on my own. I was planning to live there for a long time, but since I'll be in a wheelchair, I'll need a major remodel.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Jeff surprisingly accepted it without argument. It's a big house, so I figured I'd sell it and move to a one-story home.
That's fine, but why are you kicking us out?
He asked with a puzzled look, and I couldn't help but shout, "So? Because you're strangers to me, of course."
We're not strangers. I'm your ex-partner. Oh, I get it. You're worried you'll feel out of place if I bring Mia over, huh?
Jeff began talking nonsense.
I don't mind at all. It's a 3-story house. You can stay on the first floor, Mia and I on the second, and Mom on the third. We can just divide the space like that.
I pressed my temples and exhaled deeply at his ridiculous suggestion. Wasn't it you who forced me to live with your mom in the first place? I could feel my irritation rising, but I kept my voice calm. And the car, you were the one who said, "If you barely drive it, I'll use it instead," and took it for yourself. Don't you think that's selfish? Jeff suddenly went quiet. After a moment, he muttered,
Mom thinks I paid for the house and the car.
"Then just tell her the truth. Why try to impress people with lies?" I told him, half exasperated, and Jeff's face stiffened.
I know, but
Being stubborn, he continued to argue.
look, can't you hold off on selling it? Mom really likes the house. If we have to move, she says it needs to be just as nice, and there's no way we'll find something that quickly.
If you pay $1,000 in monthly rent, I might consider letting you stay. Jeff raised his voice in anger at my proposal.
Are you kidding me? You're heartless.
Ignoring his hypocrisy, I replied coldly.
Fine, I'll figure it out myself.
With that, Jeff hung up, clearly frustrated. By the time I could use a wheelchair with the help of nurses and was allowed to visit the common room and the gift shop, Jeff and Mary showed up for a second visit. I expected them to look defeated after being kicked out, but to my surprise, they seemed lively.
Well, poor girl, your swollen face looks a bit better now.
Still ugly, though.
Their childish taunts made me roll my eyes as I spoke. So, have you finished moving? Or are you still living in a hotel? I honestly didn't care, but I asked anyway, and Mary's face lit up.
Jeff's got a great income, so he found us a wonderful place right away. A brand new apartment on the 15th floor. The night view is stunning.
Well, good for you, I replied in a flat tone, and Jeff smirked as he continued to mock me.
With that leg, you're probably getting fired, right? If they don't catch the driver, you'll have to pay all your medical bills yourself. And if you need long-term care, that's going to cost a fortune.
I wanted to say, there's a cap on out-of-pocket medical expenses, so my share is minimal, but I stayed silent out of annoyance, and Mary chimed in excitedly.
It's karma. You brought this on yourself. Defective people like you should live off disability benefits and stay poor forever.
I'm enjoying my newlywed life with Mia. Unlike you, she's obedient to Mom and doesn't complain even if I eat a lot.
She's such a wonderful wife. I can't wait for grandchildren.
Unless you have anything else to say, leave, I said tiredly, and they both looked indignant.
We came all the way to visit and you're still as rude as ever. That attitude of yours is why I broke off the engagement.
How was this a visit when all they did was hurl insults without even bringing so much as a box of cookies? Just as I was considering kicking them out of the hospital room, there was a knock, and a nurse appeared at the door. She had a slightly surprised look on her face.
Annie, you have a visitor. May I show her in?
Curious, I nodded, and a timid young woman in her early 20s stepped hesitantly into the room behind the nurse. The moment she saw me, with my right leg in a splint and my face bandaged, her eyes filled with tears.
I can't believe what I've done.
She rushed to my bed and burst into sobs. Jeff and Mary exchanged confused glances at the unexpected visitor. "Were you the driver during the accident?" I asked, and the woman nodded as tears streamed down her face.
I'm the one who caused the accident.
Standing up, she hiccuped as she introduced herself.
When the accident happened, I panicked and ran. But ever since then, I haven't been able to eat or sleep properly.
She spoke between sobs.
My mom was so worried about me locking myself in my room without eating that I finally confessed everything. She scolded me through tears and told me to come apologize in person before turning myself in.
The woman raised her voice in apology.
I'm so sorry for what I've done.
Her shoulders trembled as I spoke to her in a calm voice. "Thank you for coming forward and confessing. I thought I'd unleash my anger when I faced her, but I couldn't find the words. Of course, I resented her for what happened to my body and felt rage, but her genuine remorse came through so strongly that I couldn't bring myself to berate her." The woman left the room, and Jeff let out an exasperated sigh.
How boring. If she'd stayed in hiding, Annie would have had to pay everything herself.
Jeff, the odds of a hit-and-run driver being caught are 52%. They're usually arrested based on eyewitness reports, like license plate numbers.
Jeff's eyes widened at Mary's explanation.
So she would have been caught sooner or later.
Exactly. And besides the settlement, you'll get the hospital benefits, right? You're listed as the beneficiary on her life insurance.
I'd nearly forgotten, but when Jeff and I moved in together, I had switched my insurance policy to list him as the beneficiary.
You can't change the beneficiary just because you didn't expect him to be this kind of person. So if you process the insurance claim, the entire payout will go straight to Jeff.
Mary grinned and handed me a large envelope from the insurance company.
You've got plenty of time in the hospital, right? You should read it over again.
Thanks, Annie. You're such a generous ex-partner.
After they left, looking rather pleased with themselves, I glanced down at the insurance paperwork and let out a quiet laugh. The following weekend, I was chatting with my friend Rachel over iced tea when the door to my hospital room suddenly flew open.
Annie, you conniving witch.
Jeff stormed in, his face twisted in rage, gripping his phone tightly in his hand. "Hey, I have company. Can't this wait?"
Shut up. Look at this.
Rachel and I exchanged glances before peeking at his phone screen. It was a long, furious text message from Mia.
Jeff, you were engaged to Annie while you were seeing me? And you were even living together? I can't believe it.
No, Annie was the one who kept coming after me.
Jeff stammered, trying to make excuses.
The mansion you showed me, it was Annie's house, wasn't it? And that lie about living in an apartment while it was being remodeled. What a pathetic liar.
I'm sorry, Mia. Please forgive me.
I can't trust you or Mary anymore.
Jeff's apology only added fuel to the fire, making Mia even more furious.
So, who told you all this?
Does that even matter? And you only wanted to marry me because I am a nurse, right? So I'd take care of your mom someday?
How? How do you know that?
Jeff's confusion was clear even through the messages.
So it's true, isn't it? I'm not some caregiver for Mary. I'm sending you the signed divorce papers and file them yourself.
Wait, Mia. I really love you. I don't want to lose you.
And that was where the conversation ended. Jeff slammed the signed divorce papers onto my bedside table, his face twisted with rage.
This is your doing, isn't it? You're so petty. Are you that jealous of my happiness?
Rachel was the one who burst out laughing, not me. After laughing so hard she held her stomach, she wiped away her tears and looked at Jeff with a mocking grin.
When Annie told me everything, I wasn't sure at first. But wow, Jeff, you're a real piece of work. If I'd known, I never would have introduced you to her.
Jeff turned on Rachel angrily.
This has nothing to do with you. Get out of here. I need to talk to Annie.
I was the one who told Mia.
Jeff's breath caught.
When I heard Annie's story, the timing of the engagement and the bride's description matched one of my coworkers. I checked her, and I was right.
Rachel's glare was sharp as she stared him down.
I couldn't stand the thought of you making my valued coworker miserable, so I told her everything with Annie's approval.
Jeff looked stunned, and I spoke harshly. Mia is a family friend of Mary's, isn't she? She probably swallowed her feelings and put up with a lot because of that. It's good that she finally made up her mind. Jeff's face twisted in frustration. His neck flushed red in an instant as he hurled thunderous shouts at me.
Who do you think you are to lecture me? You're a useless defect. You're nothing but a leech on disability checks.
Rachel blinked in astonishment. She shrugged and looked at me with a puzzled expression. Unaware of her reaction, Jeff continued his tirade.
A guy like me, an elite, chose to be engaged to a plain woman whose only talent is cooking. You should be grateful I gave you a taste of happiness, and yet you dared to ruin my life. Do you want me to sue you?
Rachel looked at me with a weary expression.
Jeff, do you not know who Annie really is?
I told you my family works in healthcare, but if I told Jeff and Mary the whole truth, they'd probably start begging me for money.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You two need to stop your chatter.
Just as Jeff hurled another insult, a knock sounded, and the door opened. A dignified-looking man entered with a polite bow.
My apologies for the late visit. I just returned from a conference in Germany today.
Yes, I heard. It's been a while, Dr. Williams. As we exchanged greetings, Jeff burst out angrily.
We're not done talking yet, old man.
Please shut your mouth. Your outburst was loud enough to be heard all the way at the nurse's station.
The director's authoritative voice left Jeff momentarily speechless. He continued to glare sharply at Jeff.
The things you've said to Annie are appalling. Do you even know who she is?
She's my ex, so I can say whatever I want. It's none of your business.
The director furrowed his brow and let out a long sigh at Jeff's audacious response.
What? If you've got something to say, just say it.
Don't you know? Annie is the chairwoman of this hospital.
Jeff seemed to not understand for a second. After a few moments of stunned silence, he burst into laughter.
You're confused. She's not a doctor, just a hospital employee.
You don't need to be a doctor to be a board member as long as you have the governor's approval.
The director's explanation made me smile broadly. That's right. I never mentioned it to you, but I inherited all the land for the affiliated hospitals from my parents. It's worth about $200 million. Rachel delivered the final blow to Jeff, who stood there, mouth agape.
Annie was offered a VIP private room but turned it down because she didn't want special treatment.
Of course, rooms like that should be kept available for seriously ill patients. The director's face softened into a smile.
That's why everyone on the board admires you, Annie.
Jeff, who had been frozen in place, finally came to his senses, looking utterly embarrassed. As we continued our lively conversation, Jeff tried to quietly sneak out of the room, but his phone rang, making him stop at the doorway to answer the call.
Mom, I'm coming home now. What?
Jeff's eyes widened, and his face turned pale. As we watched him, wondering, what's going on? Jeff quickly turned to me and asked hurriedly,
Annie, when is the life insurance payout supposed to come in?
It won't. Since you're the beneficiary, I canceled the claim. Jeff let out a despairing groan and collapsed onto the floor. What happened?
Mom, she spent $50,000 on shopping with my credit card.
Jeff muttered weakly. What?
She went on a shopping spree for brand name goods. She was counting on the insurance money to pay it all back.
I couldn't help but let out a wry laugh. That sounded exactly like something his mother would do. Jeff looked up at me with a desperate grin.
Hey, Annie, you've got $200 million in assets. You could cover our debt, right? I mean, for old time's sake?
My eyes widened in disbelief. After treating me like a servant, mocking me as poor and defective after my injury, he had the audacity to say that.
You've got to be kidding me.
Rachel started to lose her temper, but I raised a hand to calm her and smiled gently at Jeff. That's rough, but since you're an elite employee, you should be able to pay that off yourself, right? Unlike me, you're fully capable of working hard. You don't need my help. Jeff glared at me, but didn't argue, pressing his lips into a tight line. He slumped his shoulders and shuffled out of the room like a different person entirely. The next day, Jeff was summoned by his manager at work and severely reprimanded. It seems that the client Jeff was in charge of proposed terminating their contract. The client, who had visited the hospital yesterday to see a friend, overheard Jeff's abusive remarks toward me in the hallway. The client was so disgusted that they canceled their contract. Since it was a major deal, the financial loss was significant, and Jeff was demoted and transferred to a remote branch. Once word of his disgrace spread, his colleagues began to shun him. Jeff became despondent and eventually quit his job. He ended up juggling several part-time jobs to slowly pay off the massive debt his mother had racked up. Mary stayed behind after their falling out. And because of Jeff's lower income, they couldn't afford the maintenance fees on their condo and had to move into a rundown apartment. Since Mary was terrible at cleaning, their new home quickly became a hoarder's nightmare, earning them a bad reputation with their neighbors. As for me, after kicking Jeff and Mary out, I had planned to sell my house and move to a one-story home. However, as my leg began to heal, I decided to cancel the sale and stay in my home. Although I had been told I'd never recover, after 3 years of rigorous rehabilitation, I was able to walk again. I still feel pain when I run or crouch, and long walks are difficult, but I'm grateful that I can go shopping or travel without relying on a cane or wheelchair. The driver responsible for the accident was arrested and given a suspended sentence for reckless driving resulting in injury. Since she seemed genuinely remorseful, I chose to settle and not pursue charges. She gave up her license and has since turned her life around and is now living responsibly. I also received divorce settlement money from Jeff through my lawyer. Although I didn't need the money, I collected it as a matter of principle. After being divorced by Mia and estranged from Mary, Jeff now seems to be lonely. He even sent me selfish messages like, "Annie, you're the only one for me. Let's try again." So I blocked his number immediately. Getting engaged and living with someone like Jeff was a complete waste of time. But thanks to this ordeal, I grew closer to Rachel, and my time in the hospital gave me insights into both the strengths and weaknesses of the hospital I manage. I've shared these findings with the board to help improve our work.